One being, this is all rumors, by the way, Mr. Keanu Reeves, John Wick, Neo, you name it. He has been apparently offered a role to play Kraven the Hunter in a Sony solo film. So again, knowing that this is a rumor, tossing to you first, Amanda. Are you a fan of potentially seeing Keanu Reeves in this role? And again, I guess the narrative is Sony, again, announcing all these movies, Spider-Man's in the MCU. Are they getting further away from the MCU? Just kind of your thoughts on all this Sony news.
Yeah, so I have a hot take. I'm going to hate saying this, but I'm not a huge fan of Keanu Reeves. So sorry.
I got to do my Neo. Whoa.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I mean, if everyone else is happy about this, by all means, that's great for you guys. But I kind of like that Sony's diving into other projects. And I do feel like eventually Spidey's going to come into play. Like I really want Tom Hardy's Venom to meet Tom Holland's Peter Parker. Like I want that to happen so badly. And I do believe that Tom Holland signed for like another trilogy after Spider-Man 3.
I think you're right. Yeah, they read up the deal or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if they can kind of like join that in the second half of his trilogy, I think that would work like really well. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for Morbius. I thought the trailer looked absolutely like wicked. I think Jared Leto suits it more than he did with the Joker, to be honest. Not that I want to start beef, but it's true. And I love Venom and I'm excited. They're doing different things and I like that they're experimenting with their other characters. And I think it's a really good move for them.
Chris, I know you're a big Spider-Man fan like I am, man. Your thoughts on, and I'm with you there, Amanda. I'm not so would you say I love Keanu Reeves when he gets the opportunities to be like Neo, John Wick, and things like that. But and he seemed apparently he's the nicest man on earth, so I don't want to criticize him, but he's not like my favorite actor by any means. Yeah. But I love him when he's in the right vehicle, when he's in the right role, and he does his Keanu Reeves things, and I enjoy him for what he is. But Chris, man, Kraven the Hunter, Sinister Six, it seems like they're setting up with Sony. And again, I don't know, like Amanda said, I believe the deal was, and I think it's going to start with Spider-Man 3, and he's going to have 2 more appearances, like another solo film and then like an Avengers film. And then I don't know if they're going to re-up again or if they're just going to, at that point, you're going to have Morbius, Venom, Kraven the Hunter, whoever, Sinister Six, they're building their own universe, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire. Your thoughts on this casting? And then as far as Sony separating themselves from Marvel as they're kind of building their own universe.
Yeah, I'm not a Keanu Reeves hater, and I'm not calling Amanda a Keanu Reeves hater.
Please don't.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Matrix guy. I like John Wick. Yeah. So, but the point is, like, I'm cool with Keanu Reeves. I just don't know if I would cast him to play Kraven the Hunter. Like, in my memory, I didn't read the comic books, but my memory of Kraven is from the TV show. We talked about this earlier in the other stream. So I don't see the fit there, but you get a big name, and I'm sure people didn't think, when they heard, Michael Keaton was going to be in Homecoming that would be a good casting either. And then here we are, celebrating him. And, I think a lot of people agree that he did a really good job. Mm-hmm. So, I don't want to get ahead of it and say like, this is like 100% a bad idea. I wouldn't have picked him, but I mean, we'll see where it goes. I know it's early in the rumors, but we'll see. For me, it's a we'll see.
And it's his name's been circled around Marvel for a while. Moon Knight, I know some people thought that he was going to be announced as Moon Knight. As we know, Oscar Isaac got that role. Some people brought up Daredevil, or not Daredevil, but Ghost Rider and different characters like that. Some people want to see him in the Eternals at one point. So his name's been kind of circled around the MCU for quite a few years, but now it seems like Sony's been like, no, we'll go ahead and take you. But Zach, man, would you, I guess since we're talking about Keanu Reeves, are you a fan of the actor Keanu Reeves? And then also just your thoughts on this rumor and just your idea of Sony kind of separating themselves from Marvel.
I think Keanu Reeves is an actor of certain qualities, and one of those qualities is not range. But there are qualities there.
It's a gun range because he's guns.
Exactly. He's very charismatic in certain roles. I definitely like him as an action star. There's parts where his dramatic shortcomings maybe push up against the ceiling of some movies. So I don't know if I'm against him having a role in the MCU or Sony's version of it or what have you. I don't know enough about Kraven to know whether or not he's necessarily a good fit for that part, but I if you need like an aloof but kind of badass killer, then sign me up for a Keanu Reeves movie. I don't know if this is that part. I also am a little bit like, we were just talking about how, you need kind of a celebrity at the center of most of these projects. I'm also a little bit of the mind that there are some celebrities maybe a little bit too big to be cast in roles like these. Like, I agree. It's, at some point you need to think of him as Kraven and not as Keanu. And I don't know if I would ever get to that point with a guy like Keanu.
That's a great point, Zach. And were you going to say something, Chris? I'm sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, because I feel like actually you don't always need a star at these. And sometimes when you have a star at the center, it takes away because you're like, oh, I only see The Rock. I only see Keanu. And I think that what Marvel has done so well is that there are a lot of people that either, were nobodies before or that they had like, they were like making their comeback by being in these Marvel movies and kind of turned into these beloved characters and turned into these mega superstars when, maybe they weren't before. So I feel like I would rather see an unknown person be turned into an awesome superstar than someone that I'm like, okay, well, I don't see this role. I just see this celebrity.
Also, just to add on to that too, I don't think that Kraven requires a big name. Like, it's not like we're casting Bruce Wayne, which, like, the history is you want to cast a big name for Bruce Wayne, that's Batman. But for the Kraven, and like, it's not so big of a deal to get Keanu Reeves to be like, like Zach said, like it might be too big for the project. Like it gets out of control.
To play devil's advocate with that just a little bit though, like a guy like me who doesn't know who Kraven is might need somebody like Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's what I was just going to go at it. Again, if you're not too familiar with, like, and I'm just using it for example, Venom is a big name, but you cast the Tom Hardy, who's not going to be in the MCU, to sell tickets because he's not in the MCU, so they want to bring people into. So again, a Keanu Reeves would sell tickets for a Kraven, but for those, go ahead, Zach.
For those of you who do know about Kraven, is this like another Venom situation where it's kind of like he's kind of the villain, but he's also kind of the hero? And
I think he's an anti-hero, right?
He can be an anti-hero. He has his own agenda. To me, he's almost like the equivalent nature of like a Deathstroke in the DC, where like he's paid to hire. Like, he can do good things. He has his own intentions. He has his own moral compass that he goes by. But if you pay him enough, he'll kill you, and you can be a hero or a villain. So, and the great comic book run that I read was The Last Hunt, which he's kind of an older Kraven. He has a opportunity in front of him, which is to kill Spider-Man. And I don't want to spoil it, but there's a very dark scene where he literally gets him at one point and puts him in a coffin, and is a very dark scene. So he is an anti-hero-ish if you play it right. That's why I think you cast a Keanu Reeves, because we really haven't seen him play a villain, but we all love him because, again, we hear he's a great guy. He's John Wick. He's, all that stuff. But me personally, I don't see him in this role because I am familiar with Kraven to a certain extent, not a super, into the comics. I know some of the big runs, but I personally saw like a Gerard Butler in that role, just from like aesthetically speaking, and also just the gravitas of that character. I think a Gerard Butler would fit more in the role than a Keanu Reeves, because I think I don't want to disrespect Gerard Butler. He's not like A-lister type of actor, like we were just talking about. Like he's he does this, Olympus Has Fallen. He does the DVD.
He's got his niche.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he's like perfect to kind of slide into a role of that caliber. And also, I think he like literally looks like Kraven if they really wanted to bring someone in to kind of more look like like Kraven's a pretty big dude wearing, tigers and lions on his shoulders. So again, this is all rumors. I think, again, the big thing was that for the longest time, Keanu Reeves has been like circled around to have some type of role in the MCU, because at this point in time, the MCU is so big that we have, some huge actors that want to play superheroes, whether it be for their own reason, their kids, their grandkids at some point. So everyone now wants to be a superhero, where 20 years ago it was like, oh, that's a joke. I don't want to be in spandex and all that stuff. But now we're at the point where all these celebrities want to be a superhero to, again, they want to be in the mix. They don't want to have suffer from being not the cool kid, not the cool actor that's not getting the MCU role, or DCEU of that matter. So final thoughts before we wrap up this. Anyone has any thoughts on Kraven the Hunter? And again, I guess Do we see, I guess, just roundtable style, quick thoughts on, will eventually Sony pull out of the MCU deal, or will this be a collaboration for the next 10 years? Starting with you, Amanda.
Yeah, I think they'll collaborate. There's too much money there, and there's so many characters in the universe. Like, why wouldn't you collaborate? Like, Spidey sells, they know this. And now that they have like Venom selling, like, come on, that would be an amazing, amazing film to have them together.
Chris, your thoughts on Sony saying, thank you, Marvel. Bye-bye. We're going to take Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and do a Spider-Verse.
Yeah, no, I agree with Amanda. Like, the people need what the people need, so I'll keep it brief.
Kristen, your thoughts on this relationship with Sony and Marvel or MCU?
I think they need Marvel. I think it gives them like a credibility. It makes it, you know, like when I hear, let's say, just like the Kraven the Hunter, I'm like, I don't know. If you were telling me that the MCU is doing it or that they're partnered with them, I'm like, okay, like, you know, maybe this is a chance. They've introduced us to so many characters that, like, you know, people didn't necessarily know before outside of the comics, like Guardians of the Galaxy, and make you love them. When I hear that Marvel's, you know, if Marvel wasn't involved in any way at all in some of these projects, then I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be as good.
Great point. Zach, man, your thoughts on, I guess, in this relationship, Marvel has the ball in their court. Sony, because Sony has the prized possession of Spider-Man, but they went almost 10 years without Spider-Man in the MCU. And Civil War had 2 scripts, one without him and one with him. But your thoughts on that, man?
I think just looking from a standpoint of where each of these companies are, you know, even looking kind of bigger picture, Disney has Disney Plus, and if you've been reading news about it, Disney Plus is an extremely successful streaming service right now. Sony does not have an equivalent, and it doesn't look like they're about to release one either. Disney as a company seems to be in a much better state with its film production, with its media production, with its distribution in general than Sony. So I feel like Marvel needs this less than Sony needs this.
Yeah.
The thing that we can't really say is like what's going on with the money split, right? Like if Marvel says, all right, you can keep using the MCU brand, but we get 90% of the profit or something like that, then they're going to go their separate ways. I think ultimately just Sony needs this, especially right now when it feels like the field for distributors is getting smaller and smaller.
Right.
I think this goes on pretty much as long as Disney and Marvel allow it to, which probably will be for a while.
It's a great point you all make. I think I'm in the same boat with you. I think right now it's the best deal for them to both stay in the universe, because literally if we don't get the opportunity to see a Norman Osborn in the MCU, we don't get to see, because literally the reason why Spider-Man's been able to have a universe for 20 years by itself is because he has so much lore. Literally, he has the best rogues. He's the Batman of the MCU in regards to Marvel. He has the best villains. I mean, it's so great. So I think they both have a little bit of like, it would be nice for Marvel to continue to play in that ballpark. I don't know how Kevin Feige feels about not being able to cast a Venom, not being able to cast Morbius, because that's Sony thing. They cast their own characters, and I don't know if Feige, if his ego likes that idea of like not having full control over all the production. But I think this symbiotic relationship needs to continue for the foreseeable future. And Tom Holland has proven that he'll cry if this breaks up again. So hopefully we can keep this relationship going. So let us know in the comments if you all want to see Keanu, Mr. Babadega, John Wick in the role, or I know some people mentioned some other people. They got Carl Urban, who's a fantastic actor. I thought he should have been Batman at one point in his career.
Yeah,
he would be great in the role. But like I said, my dog in the fight, I would love to see Gerard Butler be Kraven the Hunter. But let us know your thoughts in the comments, and let's continue the conversation. So